Hey, what's up, guys? Pete Alonso here from the New York Mets, and I'm here with Alfred. And I just want to say thank you so much to all you guys for listening to the Metropolitan Report. It's a really awesome show. You got some great insight on Mets baseball, and yeah, it's a great place where Mets baseball is talked about, and we got a lot of really fun stuff coming up this year. And a lot of really great things coming from this team in the clubhouse, and I'm really excited to keep the ball rolling. And it's been such a fun season, and I'm really thankful for everybody coming out to the ballpark and supporting us, and it's just been absolutely tremendous. So thank everybody for listening to the Metropolitan Report, and Alfred, keep doing your thing, and as always, LFGM.
Hey, everybody, it's Alfred Parsar Jr. back with another Metropolitan Report. And before I begin today's report, just want to remind everybody, if you like this channel, if you like the content, make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button. That way, when the Metropolitan Report podcast drops new content, whether it's an episode or a short, you'll be the first one to know. Again, thank you for the support. Sound off in the comments with your opinions if you have any. And make sure to share this podcast with other baseball fans, Mets fans, sports talk fans, and there and the like. So appreciate it. Well, I am not happy. Welcome to the Metropolitan Report. This is Alfred Parsar Jr., and the Mets have lost 6 straight games in a row, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get into it today. We're going to recap the 6-game losing streak. Things that, well, I can't say we're going to talk about things we like, but things we didn't like, observations, and some injury updates on this show. So the New York Mets are now tied for first with the Philadelphia Phillies after losing 6 straight games, losing a series to the Rays where they were swept at home last Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I predicted they were going to win 2 out of 3, and then they lost to the Braves all 3 games, Tuesday, Wednesday, and yesterday. And this is the absolute worst time to go on this type of losing streak. The Mets loses of 6 in a row, stand at 45-30. The Mets at one point were 21 games over 500, pardon, and now they are 15 games over 500, tied with the Phillies for first place. Both teams 45-30. The Mets, in about an hour and some change, will start a series, a critical series, with the Philadelphia Phillies. And first place is on the line. The Mets, they play the Phillies today, tomorrow, and Sunday before coming back home Monday to open a 4-game set with the Atlanta Braves. So, lots to unpack here. The Mets not looking good. In the series against the Rays, the Mets were outscored 24-9. In the series against the Braves, outscored 17-5. This offense is just flat. The offense outside of the big three of Lindor, Alonso, and Soto, they've been flat all year. I mean, Jeff McNeil and Starling Marte have had flashes in that 5-6 spot, but it's just bad. It's just bad. The Mets offense is basically comatose at this point after the cleanup hitter, Pete Alonso. No production, no confident at bats. It's just really sad. And this has been a problem all season long, where once you get to the bottom of the order, you don't expect anything. And we'll get to some underperformers in the Mets lineup a little later on. But one alarming thing I've noticed has been a trend in these 6 losses. What was once the Mets' strength is now their Achilles heel, the pitching. The Mets' starting pitching was good up until this 6-game losing streak. The bullpen was good, and it's like we've forgotten how to pitch. Now, I don't know if the Mets were comfortable beating up on the Colorado Rockies and the Washington Nationals prior to the Tampa Bay Rays series, prior to this 6-game losing streak, and just forgot how to play good teams. Not that Atlanta's any good. Of course, Atlanta still under 500, even with the sweep of the Mets. They're 5 games under 500 entering today. But this pitching has been horrendous, giving up 24 runs in one series, giving up 17 in the other. Through the course of this 6 game losing streak, Mets pitching has given up 41 runs. 41 runs. And pitchers are going to give up runs. It's inevitable. Some of the greatest pitchers of all time have given up runs. The Nolan Ryans, the Jacob deGroms, even of recent times. Uh, Anybody, you name it. The Greg Maddixes, the Roger Clemens, Tom Glavines, the Pedro Martinez's. They've all the greats give up runs. But when you're going to give up that many runs, and your offense in that stretch has only scored 14 runs, they gave up 41 runs in 6 games to 14 scored. Forget run support. That's torrid. 41 runs in 6 games. That means you allow a little over 6 runs a game to the opposition. The Mets pitching, name who you want to name. Reed Garrett, who has been unbelievable out of the bullpen so far this year. He blew a game. Huascar Brazaban, who I praised a couple of weeks ago, he blew a game. Blew multiple games. Max Kranick, who we'll talk about a little later on, injury-wise, no longer reliable. The guy was solid in all of April and early May. Innings eater, strikeout artist. Now he's a piñata. The only Mets reliever in this entire stretch that's been reliable, 2 guys. Edwin Diaz, who's the closer, and he's only getting in games when the game's close. Mets went extra innings that first game in Atlanta in a game they should have never lost. Diaz had a solid scoreless frame. What more could you ask for Edwin Diaz? And Jose Butto has been reliable. But my God, everybody else, piñatas, Kranick, piñata, Reed Garrett, piñata, Huascar Brazaban, piñata, Ty Adcock, piñata. It's really discouraging when your biggest strength has now become a glaring weakness. Like, the bullpen is just falling apart. Just falling apart. And the trade deadline is July 31st. We're a little over a month away from the trade deadline, but if I'm the Mets, I need an extra bat and I need bullpen help. You're not gonna do well when your bullpen is it can't support your starting pitching. You're just not. Not at all. Brazaban in the game yesterday, 4 earned runs. Granted, Clay Holmes technically had a quality start. He only gave up 3 runs. But it's just something's got to give here. Justin Garza, he's been all right, but the Ty Adcocks, the Jose Castillos, like what are we doing here? Like I said, it's just Butto and Diaz, the only two relievers as of late that get in the game I'm not nervous about. But this bullpen has got to be better. Got to be better. Lately, they've stunk. The Mets lost 5-4 Tuesday night. The 4 runs they gave up, the 5 runs they gave up, one of them was not even earned because it was in extra innings. But Reed Garrett came in and let Atlanta get back into the game on a game he should have won. You go to the clunker on last Sunday, 9-0 loss to the Rays. Granted, the Rays are above 500 team, I get it, but the pitching just doesn't hold up. Granted, Griffin Canning had a bad start. We'll get to him later. But Ryan Stanek, who we should rename Ryan Stank, 3 earned runs. Jared Young pitched a third of an inning and didn't allow a run. and he's a position player. Was the best reliever they had that game last Saturday. 8-4 loss to the Rays. Again, you got to look at the pitching. Tyler McGill only gave up 3 runs, but Jose Castillo just couldn't hold it together. Granted, some of those runs were unearned because the Mets in that game, they made 2 errors. So the Tampa got a free 2 runs. And then Paul Blackburn last Friday, who's now in the starting rotation, came in relief. Clay Holmes quality start, 1 run through 5. And here come Blackburn and Kranick. Blackburn gave up 4 earned runs. Kranick gave up 2. So this is bad. This is really bad. The Mets, they got to do something. They have to do something. If I'm the Mets trade deadline wise, I'm going after maybe not a starter because the Mets, they still have a couple of starting options. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But this Mets team needs some bullpen help. They need an extra bat and they need bullpen help. As it gets closer to the trade deadline, I'll have a trade deadline show where I'll go over potential targets that the Mets should go after for the deadline. But got to get bullpen help. This bullpen is in desperate need of improvement. I'm very disappointed. I'm embarrassed at this 6-game win streak or 6-game losing streak. I wish it was a 6-game win streak. At this 6-game losing streak we're going on right now, this is the absolute worst time to have a 6-game losing streak. Now that and mind you, the Phillies, they're playing good baseball. They've been winning without Bryce Harper. That's right. Their best player hasn't even played lately, and they've won. But this bullpen needs some help. And with a crucial series like this, the Mets, they could possibly be 3 games out of first place, depending on what goes on this weekend. The last time the Phillies played the Mets, it was at Citi Field earlier this April. And this past April, and the Mets swept them. So hopefully they can sweep the Phillies again on their turf. Easier said than done. Two series the Mets should have won. They got swept in back-to-back series. But the bullpen has got to be better. The starting rotation is not bad. Clay Holmes in the start against the Rays was great. Not so great last night. Griffin Canning got lit up like a piñata each of the last 2 starts. So the pitching overall, but again, the Mets do have some starting options. As far as the offense goes, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and this may be controversial, and I don't care who has the issue with what I'm about to say, but I have seen enough of Francisco Alvarez. I have seen enough of Ronny Mauricio. I'll start on Francisco Alvarez first. Francisco Alvarez was a prospect that was first called up to Flushing from our farm system back in 2022. He had a cup of coffee for us when we were led by Buck Showalter to 101 wins that season. Good for a wild card spot. And the biggest thing about Alvarez was his prolific power, his home run hitting ability, his raw power. And everybody said that Alvarez would have been, comparisons to Mike Piazza power-wise. Mike Piazza, one of the best home run hitting catchers this game has ever seen. High praise, high praise, high praise. But Francisco Alvarez, granted, now I know he's had broken bones in the same hand. He had a broken thumb. He had a broken wrist. So he's had 2 injuries on the same hand. But something's got to give here. Francisco Alvarez, if we're looking at his numbers on the season, and mind you, Alvarez didn't even start this season because he was hurt. But Alvarez has a 229 average, 2 home runs and 10 RBI and 118 at-bats. Now, compared to his backup, Luis Torrens. Torrens in 121 at bats, 223 average, 1 home run, 13 RBIs. So Alvarez, 3 less at bats, same amount of home runs, and 3 less RBI. I think it's time to send Alvarez back to Syracuse. For a guy who's supposed to be a prolific home run hitter or a prolific power hitter, he's not getting on base nearly as much as he should. A lot of his outs are either strikeouts with his horrible plate discipline. And you think I'm just saying this to be critical? Go and watch Alvarez at bat footage. A lot of his strikeouts are either weak ground balls or they're strikeouts. And a lot of the times when he's striking out, he's not even working the count. It's not a full count. He's not in hitter's counts. Strikes out on maybe 3-4 pitches the most. He should take a look out of the Pete Alonso playbook, because Pete Alonso, that guy, loved Pete to death. But one knock on him in years past is that he had horrible plate discipline through the years. This season has been different. His plate discipline vastly improved. Maybe you should talk to Juan Soto. Juan Soto's leading the league in walks. Talk to Soto. See, get some best practices. Get some advice, something. But Alvarez, here's my thing. If the backup has similar numbers to the starter, you don't need the starter. You don't need the starter. Torrens is the productive hitter in 3 less at bats. He has 3 more RBIs than Alvarez does. The production or lack thereof that we're getting from Alvarez, Torrens could give it to us. Send Alvarez down, bring Hayden Senger back up, let Hayden Senger prove what he can do. Give that kid some more opportunity so he doesn't have to go back to Whole Foods and stock shelves, and let Alvarez work on his swing in AAA. And then if he could dominate AAA, bring him back up after a month. Maybe he can become Brett Beatty 2.0. He could be the greatest quadruple A catcher the game's ever seen. But I'm not sold on Francisco Alvarez anymore. Not sold on him at all. In the Atlanta series, he made a couple of mistakes that led to runs. You know, and they're saying that he's adjusting his swing. He's working on his swing as the season goes on. If Alvarez is working on his swing, then where are the results? Because the average keeps going down and down and down and down and down. The RBIs are not increasing, and he's been stuck on 1 home run forever. So much for working on your swing, huh? Alvarez needs to get sent to Syracuse. Send him to Syracuse. Let him work on his swing down there where the games are not as important. Because we all know the goal of minor league baseball is for player development and not winning. And I say that as the Brooklyn Cyclones just won the first half of their minor league season. Yes, in single A, there's a first half champion, and they get a bye in the playoffs. But minor league baseball is not about winning. Minor league baseball is about player development. He wants to work on his swing. Do it at the minor league level where it's not going to affect games that actually mean something and games that count. For a team that's supposed to contend, by the way. And if he can't get it right, maybe focus on getting a catcher at the deadline, because there's a couple catchers out there. Kyle Stowers, you know, and maybe Alvarez could be a Marlin. Who knows? He might hit better in Marlin Park down there in Miami. But I'm not sold on Francisco Alvarez. Like I said, I get it. The man broke bones in his hand, in the same hand, 2 seasons in a row. I get it. But when you are supposed to be a prolific power hitter, at least that's what you were in the farm system, and you're not that now, and I don't know. But I'm no longer sold on Francisco Alvarez. And then there's Ronny Mauricio now. Mark Vientos went on the IL back in LA when we played the Dodgers. Mauricio hadn't played baseball in close to 2 years before he got called up. And Ronny Mauricio, the switch hitting shortstop, he's played third. But Ronny has struggled since he's come back up to the show. Ronny Mauricio, we take a look at his numbers. Batting 182. He has had 2 home runs and 3 RBIs and 2 stolen bases. OPS of 591. But that average, like Francisco Alvarez's, is going down and down and down and down. And it's a different struggle than Alvarez. It's not a matter of plate discipline with Mauricio. It's a matter of he does not look confident. He's going up there guessing. He's going up there and just looking overmatched. Now, mind you, the first 2 series that Mauricio played when he got called up, well, first 3 was against the Dodgers. He played at the tail end of the Dodgers series. All right? He played the Rockies. He played the Nationals. Now, he played in 3 games against the Rockies and 2 games against the Nationals. In those games, he had 5 hits in 5 games. That's actually not a bad stretch. He had 5 hits in 5 games, but he had 11, 14. He had 16 at bats. So in that stretch, he hit 312. But since then, nothing. He had 2 hits in the Tampa Bay series and had 1 in the Atlanta series. He didn't have a single hit in that Dodger series. So Ronny, while the sample size is small, only 44 at bats, I don't like what I've seen from Ronny. Again, batting 182, you look at a lot of the game film, go back. It's on YouTube. Go back there. Ronny just looks overmatched. He's not able to hit against, dare I say, poor competition in Colorado and Washington. And then a step up in competition with Tampa Bay and the Braves. And I said it, and the Metropolitan Report short is still up. I don't delete anything on this channel, folks. You go back a couple videos ago, I said I would bring up Ronny Mauricio slowly. I'd have brought him up in August. There were other options the Mets could have gone to, calling up somebody in Vientos' injury. But they chose to bring up Ronny. Ronny, of course, is a fan favorite, but Ronny just now, don't get me wrong, his defense and his base running are solid. It's just the bat is not there. Again, Ronny looking overmatched. He's doing a lot of guessing at the plate, and he's not producing results. And when Mark Vientos is healthy, I would send Mauricio right back on the first shuttle bus going to Syracuse. He was killing in Syracuse. We made a video about it. He was killing in Syracuse. In that same video, I said I would bring him along slowly. Let him get his confidence back. Let him keep dominating AAA competition. But he is for a guy who didn't play major league level baseball since 2023, didn't have a spring training in 24 or this season, played a handful of games at AAA after 2 years of no competitive baseball activity. What did you expect? A 2-year layoff, and they think this guy was going to come out of the gate swinging? I mean, yeah, he's swinging, but he's not making any contact. But when Vientos comes back, I'm going to send him on the first shuttle back to Syracuse because it's part of the problem. That bottom of the order, which includes Mauricio, is not hitting. It's just not productive. Let these guys take Alvarez, take Mauricio, send them to Syracuse, let them get their confidence under them, let them dominate down there, and then bring them back up. Meanwhile, we got Luis Angel Acuna on the bench, who's just sitting there watching. And that guy's batting 248. I'll take him any day. in the infield over Mauricio. Let Mauricio go get his reps on the farm, and let's let the young man play because Acuna is a young guy. He's not going to benefit any from sitting there watching from the dugout. I don't know what Mendy's doing, but Mauricio's another one I'm sending down to the farm. Injury updates. I know I mentioned pitching earlier, but there are reports out there, and I'm going to hate this when it happens. But Frankie Montas, who didn't have a spring training, he's going to join the rotation. He's expected to join the team at the end of this month. That makes me nervous. He suffered a high grade right lat strain on March 27th in spring training, went to the 60-day injured list. He's had 6 rehab starts in Syracuse. He has an ERA of 12.05 in Syracuse. He can't get out AAA players, and they want to bring Montas into the rotation? Now, I understand Kodai Senga's hurt. I understand that Tyler McGill just joined the injured list. More on him later. But you want Frankie Montas in a rotation? Why? Maybe put him in the bullpen, maybe, but I understand they signed this guy to a 2-year, $34 million deal. I get it. But the man cannot get AAA players out. He's struggling in the minors. Now, I get it. He didn't have a spring training. But he's a seasoned major leaguer. There should be no reason why he's been lit up like a piñata in Syracuse. And they can't keep him in Syracuse because his time there has been designated as a rehab assignment. This is terrible. Frankie Montas, I have no faith in Frankie Montas, to tell you the truth. None. Now, guys, we've seen major league players go and have rehab starts where, the results weren't favorable to them. I get that. It happens from time to time. Even some of the best names through history. Curt Schilling, when he rehabbed for the Red Sox one time, got lit up like a piñata too. But that's Curt Schilling we're talking about. And it only happened once. There have been times Roger Clemens on a rehab start, AAA Columbus Clippers while he was with the Yankees, had one bad outing, but it was an anomaly. Happened one time, never happened again. But Frankie Montas with a 12.05 ERA in 6 starts, and you want to tell me that this guy, I could care less what the contract is, but a man with a 12.05 ERA in Syracuse in AAA is supposed to come to the rotation on the major league level, and you expect him to have some type of success? What type of success do we expect? For him to not make it to the 5th inning? For him to not make it through 4? To not make it through 3? He can't get the children out. So how do you expect him to get the best players in the world out? And I understand that David Stearns, he loves these reclamation projects. He loves guys like Montas and the Griffin Cannings and the Sean Manayas and all these guys who were cast-offs or not very successful on other teams. He gives them a short contract on a cheap route and hopes for the best to see what he could get out of them. Because he doesn't want to commit long-term to pitching because he wants to avoid what happened to Garrett Cole this season or Corbin Burns, where you make a long-term investment in a starting pitcher and they have season-ending injuries that involve Tommy John. I get it. He'll take fringe starting pitching, short-term contracts, and hope for the best. I get it. But Frankie Montas, I have no doubt that when he joins this rotation, he is going to get lit up. The Mets have other rotation options they could go to. Brandon Sproat, Jonah Tong, Blade Tidwell, who's going to start tonight against the Phillies in game one. Justin Hagenman, who pitched relief yesterday, could have had a spot start if they didn't use him yesterday in relief. Manaea's on his way back. You know, if the Mets rotation that they started with this year, Senga, Holmes, Peterson, McGill, and Canning, if all five of those guys were healthy, I don't even think Montas would have a role in this rotation. But now, as it stands, the starting rotation as of next week is going to be Holmes, Peterson, Canning, Paul Blackburn, another guy who I think should get the boot, and Frankie Montas. This is the worst time to miss Kodai Senga, even though he's only gone for a month, but it's the worst time, absolute worst time. I have no faith in Frankie Montas whatsoever. I know I've been negative this entire edition of the Metropolitan Report, but I'm just being honest here and transparent and telling you guys my thoughts. I have no faith in Frankie Montas whatsoever. Other injury updates. As I said earlier, Max Kranick, the reliever, he's on the injured list, went on the injured list yesterday with a right elbow strain. His expected return is to be determined because he's awaiting the results of an MRI, but it was reported that he began experiencing elbow discomfort during his previous outing on June 15th, and as of yesterday, got an MRI, has not gotten the results back yet. He's on the 15-day injured list. Again, the bullpen needs help. Kranick was struggling at the time that he went on the injured list. And the Mets, I mean, they've got Justin Garza. He's been solid. Jose Butos, as I mentioned, solid. And Edwin Diaz. Everybody else is falling apart. Brazabon, Stanek, Garrett. I don't know what's happened to them the last week and some change. Jose Castillo, I don't know what's happened. I mean, not that Castillo was ever good, but. And now Max, who is an innings eater. I don't know what's happened. Ty Adcock just got optioned back to the minors. I would like to see Brandon Waddell get another shot. Brandon Waddell is another reliever who can eat innings, as we've seen. The Mets DFA'd Hennessy Cabrera not that long ago. He's a Cub now, so he's no longer an option. But this bullpen needs help. It needs help, like I said. I'm not going to harp back on it, but with Kranick injured, that is not good. Not good whatsoever. And again, the Mets made a slew of moves. Again, like I said, they optioned Ty Adcock back to AAA Syracuse. They have since selected the contracts of Justin Hagenman and Dedniel Nunez to help out in those situations. Of course, we saw Hagenman pitch last night against the Braves. Dedniel Nunez, who has struggled at the major league level so far this season, is back in the bigs. It remains to be seen what he can do. Moving forward on this injury report, Brett Beatty, not on the injured list. He's listed as day-to-day, but he's experiencing right groin tightness. He tweaked his groin pursuing a foul ball against the Rays last weekend. He's been receiving treatment and taking part in baseball activities, but his improvement is slower than team officials have hoped for. But he should still avoid the injured list regardless, so that's a good sign. Mark Vientos, as I said, went on the injured list June 3rd. He started a minor league rehab assignment on the 17th. He played designated hitter for AAA Syracuse. He's going to be taking third base reps in the near future. Tylor Megill went on the injured list June 17th, right elbow sprain. He's expected to return mid to late July. He underwent an MRI that revealed no structural damage, which is good, but he has significant inflammation around his tendons and ligaments. He will have to rest for 10 days before he can restart throwing once he is symptom-free. And then somebody we've been talking about ad nauseum all year, Sean Manaea. He's got a strained right oblique since March 27th. He's been on a 60-day IL. He started a rehab assignment earlier this month on June 6th back in Brooklyn. He's made 3 starts at Single A. He's going to need at least 2 more rehab outings to build up his workload, including 1 more today on June 20th. Then we have Kodai Senga. He's been shut down for 2 weeks after he injured a hamstring on June 12th. And finally, Brooks Raley, who the Mets have signed as a free agent. However, he is on a rehab assignment. He is recovering from Tommy John surgery. He had Tommy John last season. He started his rehab assignment on June 17th with Single A St. Lucie. He will be on rehab assignment for 30 days. He's expected back in the middle of July. So bullpen help is coming, but I don't know how much bullpen help you can expect from a guy who's coming fresh off Tommy John. He definitely will be on a pitch and innings count this season, but that is your injury report. And then finally on the Metropolitan Report, the Mets start a series with the Phillies tonight. Again, first place is on the line here. And if you look at the Phillies, they've been winning without Bryce Harper. He's on the injured list. But you can't count out a lineup with Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Alec Boehm, Nick Castellanos, Max Kepler, JT Realmuto, and Bryson Stott. Brandon Marsh also in that lineup is a dangerous man. The pitching matchup starting tonight, Zach Wheeler, their ace, former Met, 7-2, 2.76 ERA, goes up against one of our top prospects who's been called up for a spot start, his second start in the bigs. We saw him in St. Louis earlier this season. Blade Tidwell, who was 0-1 with a 14.73 ERA. Yeah. I don't think we have a chance tonight. Going into the matchup tomorrow, Mick Abel, the rookie sensation for the Phillies, 2-0, 2.21 ERA, goes up against the revelation, if we could still call him that, Griffin Canning, who's 6-3 with a 3.80 ERA. I think that's the best chance that we have to win a game this series. The Mets can welcome Mick Abel to the big leagues like no other team has been able to do. And then in the finale Sunday, Mets have a chance as well. Jesus Luzardo, 6-3 with a 4.41 ERA, up against David Peterson, who's 5-2 with a 2.60 ERA. I think the Mets can take Saturday and Sunday. I am not confident about today at all. But I do predict a series win. I think the Mets get Saturday and Sunday, tomorrow and Sunday. I think they lose tonight just because Tidwell did not have a good showing against St. Louis, and this Phillies team is a better team than the St. Louis Cardinals. So that's my opinion. This next stretch is very crucial for this Mets team. We look at the schedule, of course, like I said, the Mets play the Phillies tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday before they come home Monday to play the Braves in 4 games, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So division implications, if the Braves can have a good weekend this weekend and the Phillies take care of the Mets, it might be a Phillies and Braves race. So the Mets, they've got to win this series to stay in first place. First place on the line this weekend, Mets, Phillies. Hopefully, my prediction is correct. The Mets take 2 out of 3, and they escape the weekend still in first place before having to come home to play the Braves for 4. The schedule does get easier after that a little bit because the Mets will play the Pittsburgh Pirates next Friday for a 3-game set before they come home on a lengthy homestand that involves the Brewers and the Yankees. But stay tuned to this channel, the Metropolitan Report podcast. I am Alfred Parsar Jr. I'll be bringing you content throughout the weekend. So I said everything else there is to say, and the only thing left to say is, let's go Mets.